We gon' run it, hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Hey, knock 'em out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North talk. Let's go. Hey, AFC North talk.
Welcome to AFC North Talk. Here we are, the final defensive ranking. I know Q's been waiting for this show in particular. Nothing really has happened on each individual team since Friday. We only streamed Friday. The Thunder won last night. It was unfortunate what happened early in that game.
That was unfortunate.
But, I mean, it ended up being a good game for Halliburton leaving early.
Yeah, it was good until like halfway through the third. And
then they tried to do a comeback.
It was a TJ McConnell show for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was like watching a movie where the point of it is that like the protagonist does not succeed. Like it was like, okay, he fought hard, right? Rocky went to the 12th round, but like he lost in decision. It's kind of like what it felt like was the last stand of the Pacers as they got overwhelmed by Oklahoma City, who just had more firepower.
Yep. It sucks because not only he got injured. When I saw him getting down, like, oh man, the calf. Maybe he can come back. Then I heard it was Achilles. I'm like, oh man, that's gonna affect the next year.
I was like, it looked just like Deshaun earlier this year. Where it was like he's done.
Yeah,
you see that pop. You can see it. We all know what it looks like from football to basketball.
Yeah.
When we see it, it's just
then I saw the replay though.
Whenever somebody falls down without anybody touching them, and they end up punching the ground, and they have that look on their face, you know what happened. Yeah. We just hope it didn't. Yeah. But it's like,
you're correct.
Yeah, it usually is that, right?
I
think the only person who ever no-sold an Achilles was Kobe, right? That's the only person.
Anyway, still shot the free throws afterwards.
Yeah, shot the free throws and then just kind of grimaced off as he walked off the court at like 37 too. It was ridiculous. But yeah, that's the only person I've ever seen like no-sell an Achilles pop.
I will say this: I was a Kobe hater. I do have much more respect to him after he retired. But yeah, it's just he rubbed me the wrong way. But just the man mentality now, especially as an adult. Let me rephrase it. As an adult, I definitely respect him.
He must have did unspeakable things.
Yeah, what happened? What did he do to the Wizards?
No, everybody.
I was gonna say the 81 point game was against the Raptors. So
Sonny is right though. There had as a lifelong Kobe fan, there has been some revisionist like stuff with Kobe after he passed away. Nobody used to like Kobe this much when he was alive. There are a lot of people that are like, oh, I love Kobe now. I was like, nah, dog. I remember you did not like Kobe.
There was a balance of like Kobe stands felt like Kobe was like basically number 2 to Michael. And then everybody else was arguing against that.
Yeah. So it was LeBron. It was the LeBron Kobe kind of thing. Then there were people that didn't like Kobe because of the Kobe Shaq split thing.
That's where I started with
Shaq.
Yeah, that's about the whole ball hog era of Kobe Bryant too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was so annoying because Kobe's like, oh, I can win by myself, right? And then they couldn't make the playoffs, and then obviously Paul Gasol made it there, and then they won again.
No. They missed the playoffs one time. They only missed it one season.
Yeah.
And then he was back.
Then he went to the playoffs.
He went to Game 7 with Steve Nash with like Smush Parker and Kwame Brown. Like that was insane.
No.
Oh my god. Anyway, yes.
It's a sore spot for you, Sonny. Kwame Brown.
If you hate Kobe, I'm like, what do you feel about LeBron? Because he actually terrorized the Wizards.
So this is the thing with LeBron. I hated LeBron, right? And then he went to Miami, and I saw people hating on LeBron for like no reason. I'm like, why are you hating for him to go to Miami? Like for other than being a cast player.
Wait. You didn't like him when he was in Cleveland and was
Yeah.
like the good guy, but you
No,
started
that
to like him
No,
when
no,
he
but-
went villain.
Wait, hold on. You, what happened when he was in Cleveland?
Wizards fan because he did unspeakable things to the Wizards.
When he was in Cleveland, I feel like we match every year with the Cleveland Cavaliers in round 1.
for like 3
every
years
year.
straight, it just
Every-
completely
and then they-
destroyed that Gilbert Arenas run. Like,
Yeah,
What
and that
what
was
is
it.
is it because he took Antoine Jameson from you? Like I'm not.
No, they
no,
beat us
it's
every
like
year.
they had this Gilbert run. They were excited about No Chill Gil, all the hibachi,
Oh yeah.
and then they started playing LeBron,
Yeah.
and then LeBron
Every
happened,
year.
and then
Every year.
Gilbert Arenas was on the fucking Magic. Like that's what happened to the Wizards.
Here, the Cavs will bounce us out with LeBron. But then he went to Miami, and I'm like, I understand Cleveland hating him, but why y'all hating the rest of the league? Why are you hating them?
Yeah.
And
Now I
that's
was rooting for
these-
Boston against
that's
him.
these AFC North fandom coming out. It's like y'all out here rocking with Cleveland. Like what?
Yeah. Anyway, that was it. Anyway, yeah, Kwame Brown is a sore spot for me.
Kwame is,
and
yeah.
Michael
Oh, shit,
Jordan
y'all did.
stupid thing.
They drafted him.
Boy, Wizard. Hey, look, man, we got to give Sonny credit for sticking with the Wizards, dog, because that's not easy.
That's a rough
Like,
life.
That's
a rough life.
And then this year, I was excited for Cooper Flag, and then the NBA, that's what they do. Nah. Anyway, super chat here from Sean Murphy says, "Today's when we get prime Q, King Rover, Trotter."
You know, I'm proud of myself because I've turned this Roquan Smith overrated thing from like a 3% issue when I first started. People reacted like I was crazy when I mentioned that I thought Roquan was overrated. We got a solid 30% now. You know, like it's a growing sentiment in the
I will
public.
tell
And
you
look,
this.
Roquan Smith has been as instrumental to that as I have. So I gotta thank Roquan Smith first and foremost for making people see the light.
Okay. With that being said, Jared, I'm gonna start with you. Who's your fourth team in the linebacker in the inside linebacking court?
It's not the Bengals, which is exciting.
Hey, let's get it up for the Bengals.
Yeah, how about it? I'm gonna put Cleveland here.
Wait.
I like the addition of Carson Schwarzenegger. I think he can be a good player, but there's a lot of unknown at that spot. I think that every other team has at least some sort of proven commodity there. So Cleveland fourth for the time being, but I do like what they've done at the position.
I'll give you this too. I had Cleveland also. I was talking about Schwarzenegger before the draft that I like this guy. I actually thought if he was there in the late second, the Ravens should have drafted him, right? But again, I don't know. Rookies can be whatever. In that first year specifically, even though I do like him a lot, I think he's gonna be. And Ace would know how much I like Wilson. I think Schwarzenegger is a better version of Wilson. Not now, but I think he will be. I think his coverage skills are really good, at least in college. Again, this is why, for me, it's hard to put them now before he does any snap. Same thing with Starks. And I know I got a lot of hate in the last video because of the safety position in this comment section. But
really?
Oh my
Oh, they got
God.
mad
The comment section was like sunny. But anyway, again, if I only am consistent here, I had Cleveland fourth because I do like what they're doing with Schwarzenegger. Hicks is there, right? They have a couple other pieces, and obviously JOK is not there. JOK would have been there, and Schwarzenegger could be the linebacker I think he could be. Those two will be a very dynamic duo because they're more on the speed and react. Like they're not big guys, but they're definitely on the coverage side. They can be really, really good. But we don't know when or if JOK comes, and hopefully he's okay. But that's why I have Cleveland here at number 4. I think right now, it's a lot of unknowns. Ace.
Yeah, I've got Cleveland here as well for the same reasons, right? Like if JOK is there, I think that I'm probably considering this team top 2 in the division at the position just because of JOK being there. I like Carson Schwarzenegger. I do take rookies into account, so I like what Carson has done. However, like Jared said, if you're comparing what you think Carson could be compared to, Patrick Queen, Logan Wilson, all pro row.
All pro, baby.
That's what y'all call him, right? I can't wait to see Quincy tear that apart. But
All pro row.
But when you compare him to those guys, I just can't say. I think he has potential to be with those guys one day. I just don't know if it's now to definitively say it. I think where it comes in Cleveland, I know that Devin Bush had a pretty solid season last year and kind of surprised some people. So I'm interested to see if he's going to keep that going this season. Jordan Hicks, he's a little bit older, so I think I think in a couple of days he actually is turning 34, but he'll at least be able to fill in the gap. But I expect Devin Bush to probably start over him if he is going to continue to have that season that he had with Carson Westinger. So I think Cleveland is here for now. We'll see where they go. I think they have some decent depth, but with no JOK there, I got to put them forth.
Cute.
I'm surprised everybody's going Cleveland here, given that Cleveland's been able to produce pretty good linebacker play out of pretty much whatever they've had in that room over the last 3 years. I have to go Cincinnati here because, like, that's the linebacker room I feel like has underperformed over the last couple of years. Like, yeah, I like Logan Wilson. I think Logan Wilson has had some great moments as linebacker in his career, but the last couple of years have been much more inconsistent. I think they're leaning on rookie linebacker play a lot more than the Cleveland Browns are. The Browns have pretty good depth in that room. When you look at like Jordan Hicks and a lot of other veterans in that room, Jerome Baker is there as well. You look at the Bengals room, it's like Demetrius Knight's definitely going to have to play a lot. And then there's like Barrett Carter.
There's Oren Burks as well.
Burks.
He played for Philadelphia last year, a couple games, so he's a veteran that they have.
Yeah, it's like a guy who was kind of in the rotation. You're going to ask for more from Cincinnati. Like, this has not been a strong point of Cincinnati organizationally over the last like 20 years. They've had some solid play there with Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson. They just got rid of Jermaine Pratt, right? So, like, who knows how that linebacker room's feeling? And then also you got to add, like, the defensive line situation has not improved in Cincinnati, which I think is going to greatly affect how we view these linebackers by the end of the season. So I put Cincinnati here in last.
You make a compelling point, Q. You make a compelling point. I think in my opinion is the consistency. Although he took a step back.
Logan didn't take a step back. He just got hurt last year.
Yeah,
so
he was playing.
He hasn't been bad. It's just he was hurt last year.
He hasn't been to like what he was in that playoff run though. Like, we haven't seen that level of, and like that's why I thought Logan was going to be for the last 2 years, is that level of impact player. And even when he's been healthy, he's been good. Like, nobody's saying Logan Wilson is trash, but it hasn't been what we had hoped it'd be from him, which is like this kind of game-changing guy. And when that's the only real linebacker that I can really depend on from this Bengals rotation, it just doesn't make me feel great about him.
I would disagree with that because he actually had better stats in 2023 than he did in 2021. So he had 135 tackles and 4 interceptions, which matched what he did, which was actually more than what he did in 2021. So the playmaking was
like how effective he was to play on that playoff run where we thought he made a leap during that playoff run.
He can't do that if they don't make the playoffs. That's the only thing I'm saying. Like, from a regular season standpoint,
to play as good as he did in the playoffs. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I thought in that playoff run, we saw him make a leap, which is like, oh, this guy went from being a really good linebacker to being like in that top class.
I would actually say it was during the season because him having the interceptions, that's what made Logan Wilson kind of who he was.
I got you.
With the force.
But do you think that he has put himself in that elite class of linebackers? Because that's what I'm saying is like, you got one, he's pretty good. But pretty good, I don't think anchors the whole room.
I can't say in 2021 he was considered elite. I think he was really good. I don't think he was elite. Like, I don't think that he was getting any all-pro votes. I'll just put it that way. Like, 2021, even in his best year, I don't think he was. I think he's like a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker. I don't know if he's all-pro.
Okay.
Dragon the Abandoner here says, thoughts on the Browns having an 87 match.
That's just in the beta.
That's the beta. That's the beta.
So
I was gonna say I haven't been
beta 83 or something like that. Who cares?
In the beta, Andre Yosivas is like a lineman. I'm hearing Andre Yosivas is a lineman in the beta. So
I did see that on NX. I did see that.
Yeah.
He was chunky, right?
He looked like a lineman. I don't know what was going on.
That checks out.
Oh man, I'm playing games. Okay, so number 3, Jared, who do you have?
This is where I would put Cincinnati. I think that they are going to be relying a lot on the younger talent. I mean, Demetrius Knight, yeah, Q already pointed out he's going to have to play a lot right away, and then we'll see with what Logan Wilson can do. Obviously, he's going to be taking on a bigger role now that Jermaine Pratt isn't there. But again, going back to the Browns argument a little bit. To be fair with Q, I mean, I don't know, he might have switched me here because I won't lie, I kind of forgot that Jordan Hicks was a Brown. So that might that may have swayed me a little bit. And I like Jordan Hicks, but just for the sake of continuity, I'll give the Bengals a slight edge because I do like Logan Wilson, and I do think that overall, he's capable of taking that next step. I think Cincinnati's defense is just going to have so many questions as a whole with new coordinator, how bad they played last year. I mean, everybody's going to have a lot to prove, and it's going to be somewhat of a blank slate all around. So hopefully Logan Wilson can stay healthy and have a nice little bounce back year and, look like the Logan Wilson that we're kind of accustomed to seeing. So I'll put Cincinnati here just because of that proven commodity that they have with Logan Wilson. But yeah, they're going to look a lot different on that side of the ball and in the middle of the field. So I'm intrigued by them, certainly.
Yeah, this is the part that scares me about Cincy, and not in necessarily a good way. I like Logan Wilson. I said this even pre-draft. This is not a new thing for me. But even if the new kid Knight plays well, are they playing him? The other guy that they have, Ace, you just mentioned him, the guy they went from
Oren Burks.
Yeah,
that would play for the Eagles.
Yeah. Since he has had a pattern of not playing their young guys, and look, I'm very big on giving them time. I'm not here to expose the young guys as soon as right.
Mm-hmm.
But Burks was okay at best, right? Was he better than Pratt's? That he left the team. Let's say that they're about the same on a good day right now. So I don't know if that will make the room better. Now Knight coming out of the draft, he was what I look at Knight really good against the run. And I thought when they made that pick, I was like, this is a Derrick Henry type of pick, right? Having the enforce somebody that can just come down, hit him, right? Henry before he takes that next step. But again, rookie, I don't know what to make of him. And although I like Wilson, this is why I have them over the Browns, in my opinion.
Quick note on Oren Burks, though. So I just put up his PFF numbers because I was curious. I only played 147 snaps last year, but among qualified linebackers was 13th in PFF grade. So not a scrub by any means, but we do need to see more.
Yeah.
I mean, again, 147 snaps, not that big a sample size, but we'll see what he'll look like if he gets a little bit more of an expanded role. But from the sample size that we had, he played well.
Yeah, and my question always when there's limited size of any player, not linebacker, all the players, is I remember what was the guy that you guys signed from us? Bynes. Remember him?
Yep.
Ace. And I remember telling Ace, like, Bynes is not bad. It's just he's good on like limited snap. And then back then,
I don't think Oren Burks is going to be the starter. I'll say it in my thing, but no, I've got no indication at all that Oren Burks is starting. It's definitely going to be Demetrius Knight for sure.
So yeah, okay. So and then for me, again with rookies, we'll see what he can be. Now he has a good mentor on the one side. That's a good thing, right? He has a guy next to him that obviously in the case of Wilson, he has done it for a while. Right, so it's not like a guy that is super young, so he can help them grow to the position. That's why I have them third. Can they be higher? I mean, if Knight hits, we can talk about them in a different way, right? The question is, can Knight hit, right? So anyway, that's how I have them third. Ace.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we kind of brought up, where were the Bengals linebackers from 2021? Guy that was coaching them is now back. Like, that's who our defensive coordinator was. So Al Golden was the linebackers coach in 2021 during that Super Bowl run. He was the one that brought stability to the position, Logan Wilson and all of that. He is now the defensive coordinator. If there's any position that I feel the most comfortable about with this team, it literally is the linebacker position. That's what Al Golden's role was when he was here in 2021. I think the fact that they were able to move on from Jermaine Pratt, I think Demetrius Knight, his comp is literally Jermaine Pratt. When you look up who his comp is, it's Jermaine Pratt. So I think what they're going to ask linebackers to do, they've also kind of talked about that. The linebacker role is actually going to play a bigger part in this defense now. It didn't before. So from that standpoint, I think just having Al Golden, seeing what he did with the linebackers before, him making them a huge part of this defense, I actually feel pretty comfortable with them. And then, of course, Logan Wilson. The only issue I have with Logan Wilson, staying healthy. That's the only issue with Logan Wilson. If he's durable and he's out there, he's fine. The way that we run our defense, there's only going to be 2 linebackers on the field. We're not running a 3-4. We're not doing anything like that. We primarily play nickel anyway. So as long as we have our 2 linebackers out there, we should be fine. I think Demetrius Knight, as long as he gives us close to what Jermaine Pratt has given us before, I think we'll be fine. Oren Burks is a guy, if Logan Wilson or someone has injuries, he'll probably be in there, but he's likely going to be a special teams guy. When he was with the Eagles, he had a lot of limited snaps because he only came in once they had injuries. So when those starters that the Eagles had injuries and stuff like that, Oren Burks came in and played very well for them. But like Jared said, it was in a limited fashion. So you also have Burks. You also have some other guys on the roster as well. They talk about John Meta and stuff like that, guys that are in the wings. Those are some of the guys that they felt comfortable with moving on away from Jermaine Pratt. Barrett Carter is the wild card. I feel way more safe with Demetrius Knight than I do Barrett Carter. Barrett Carter seems to be a guy that can be this athlete, that can do all of this stuff, but you don't know exactly what his role kind of is. He kind of really reminds me of like a poor man's version of that guy. It was a linebacker that the Cardinals drafted. They drafted him high. He's
Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons. He's kind of like Isaiah Simmons, but he's like a poor man's Isaiah Simmons. He doesn't specifically have a role, and that's a guy that I think is kind of a project. So I wouldn't expect much from Barrett Carter early, but I feel much more safer about Demetrius Knight. But when it comes down to it, the reason that I have the Bengals third is Logan Wilson and Al Golden being back with the linebackers.
By the way, when was the last time that a tweener hit? Like
It's been
because
I don't
I
know.
remember with
That's a good
Simmons.
question.
Simmons was like, "Oh my God, this guy can play everywhere. He's gonna be
Everything.
a beast, linebacker, rusher. You can do even
You kind of
Micah."
have that with the guy the Eagles took as well. You kind of have.
Which?
I'm
Oh,
what's
the
his
middle
name?
linebacker from
Yeah, from Bama.
I'm blanking his name.
Or is it Georgia? Is it Georgia or Bama?
No, the Georgia one was the one they were talking about. Michael.
Yeah,
Michael.
yeah. It's
I
from
forgot
Bama.
who drafted him, but
Zim wanted
Even-
that guy
You're not
pretty
talking
bad.
about the Eagles player, right? Or you
Yeah, the
talking
guy
about
that the Eagles got. The guy that the Eagles got.
Nolan Smith?
No.
No.
In this past
season.
draft.
This past draft.
Oh, Jalen Walker?
Yeah.
No,
But
that's he's on Falcons.
Hold on, no, that's not
We're
not
talking-
Jalen Walker.
We're talking about Michael.
How am I forgetting
Michael?
Michael.
I thought Mike Cal went to the
About
49ers.
Jihad.
Oh,
Jihad Campbell.
That's
Jihad.
an Alabama player.
Jihad.
Oh, the
Jihad Campbell. Yeah,
He
Jihad
went to
Campbell.
the
Yeah.
Bills, didn't he?
No.
No, Philly got him.
Nah, he went to the
I remember.
Eagles.
My bad.
He went to
I
the
know.
Eagles.
Surprised that
But-
Sean
like,
McDermott
that's
didn't want him.
So there was I think the best guy that was Penn State finest Michael Parson, and one of the ways was because
Michael
he
Parsons.
basically
He just became an edge rusher.
and that's the best thing, right? Just put him in the one spot. And with Simmons,
Yeah.
they were like they didn't know what to do with him, and I think Arizona couldn't figure it out. The
He's on
Giants
like his
couldn't figure
third
out.
team now.
Yeah,
He's on his
yeah.
third team.
Yep. Okay. Q, who's your 3?
The Ravens are number 3 here.
Of course.
What do you mean? What do you
Nah,
mean?
go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, the Ravens
Cook
are
up.
number 3 here. And it's pretty simple, right? When I make the argument that Roquan Smith is overrated, please understand what I am saying. Is Roquan Smith a solid linebacker in the NFL? Yeah, he's a solid linebacker. Is he an elite linebacker? Is he somebody who plays to the quality that you would expect? What y'all call him all-pro row, right? 2-time all-pro. There's
was
3
all-pro.
all-pro teams, right?
He
So
was
that means
all-pro.
there's 3 Mike linebackers. That means Roquan Smith top 3. That's what we saying, right?
That's what the people are saying. Not
That's what
even
you
us.
say. Do you think that, Sonny?
I think he is.
The
Top
fact that
5,
you can't have
top
a
5.
serious commitment to this
Top
right now
5.
is damaging to your
Top
argument. You can't even commit to it right
Top
now.
5.
Top 5. All right, let's go top 5, right? Roquan Smith, top 5 linebacker. Did you know? Let's look at coverage, right? We know it's a weakness in his game, but did you know he played the 2nd most coverage snaps of anybody in the NFL, and he's stand-up linebacker in the NFL with 626. So I don't want to hear people in the comment section be like, oh, Quincy's judging him based on something he barely does. He covers more than he run defends, okay, at this point in his career. This is the bulk of what Roquan Smith does. He is awful in coverage. One of the worst grades that Pro Football Focus gave out to a all-pro linebacker, right? 63 from PFF. He was 15th in yards per reception, which means you can get about 10 yards if you just target Roquan Smith. So if you're ever in a bind on 3rd and 10, just go at 0. 10 yards per reception right there. One of the best linebackers in football shouldn't have one of those big weaknesses there. But okay, I'm judging the wrong thing. Run defense. That's where Roquan Smith gets you, right? Ain't that right, Sonny?
Yeah, he is really good at tackling and bringing the ball player down. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's what he does, right? That's why he gets the big money. Run defense.
Yeah.
Average depth of tackle. I've been talking about this with Roquan Smith for years. One of the worst in the NFL. He's 26 in average depth of tackle. So, yeah, does he get a lot of tackles? Sure. But he's giving up about 3 yards every time he gets one of those tackles. So he's not really getting behind there, disrupting the play. His stop percentage at 9.3 is 16th in the NFL. And again, that's a solid number. Is that top 5? Again, this is his strength.
Where does he start on the play matters, right?
It matters.
Yeah, meaning like if Roquan
He's Mike. He's in the box.
No,
He's not Kyle Hamilton.
No, you're right.
Line. Like he's in the box.
He's not in the yard 3.
Where he lines up, he's the green dot.
He is the green dot. Anyway, keep going.
This is like saying, oh well, the quarterback, he doesn't have good production because he just keeps checking out of these pass plays, guys. But yeah, average depth of tackle, 3.1 yards. Amongst other linebackers, that's a bad number, right? Like not just judging him amongst safeties or defensive tackles. Obviously, that would be different. But amongst other linebackers, that's 26 in the NFL. And I even did you the liberty of I think I did 50% of the snaps of run defense, the average on Pro Football Focus. So I took out a lot of the fluff here, so you didn't have a bunch of other things clouding this. He had a 69.7 Pro Football Focus run grade. Now, look, we could team whatever weight we want to team on that, but we talking about an all-pro player. It shouldn't be this much up in the air when we're talking about the strength of all-pro Roquan Smith. You got Pro Football Focus giving him basically a starter grade at 69.7.
You said everybody that voted for All Pro doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know what they're talking or whatever.
I agree.
Okay. So to be fair, so what you're saying is, for now in the future, I should not hear Quincy say, "Well, remember that guy's an All Pro" or any of that, right? Because doesn't really matter what All Pro
look,
is.
if you could make the statistical case to back up somebody being an All Pro, then fine. The All Pro status
situation
matters.
of football.
I am challenging the All Pro status of Roquan. Did he get All Pro last year? He better not.
In 2024?
Last year,
yeah,
he was an All Pro
last year.
Yeah, Fred Warner.
I'm challenging that.
Fred Warner, Zach Bond, and
Bobby Wagner also got All Pro as well, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Bobby.
Yeah, I don't know, Sonny. Sometimes the All Pros, I mean, they are media based. I think if you don't play in a big market, it's hard to get media to really pay attention.
Or if you have really good marketing like Roquan Smith, it's easy to manipulate the votes to get the All-Pro ranking, which has been my whole point with Roquan Smith over the last 4 years, which this is a good linebacker who gets marketed as if he's the best linebacker in the NFL. And for the second year in a row, there is nothing that suggests that Roquan Smith is even close to the best linebacker in the NFL. He's cleared by what Zach Bond did last year. He's never been Fred Warner. Like, what class of linebacker does he belong in? He belongs in the same class as Logan Wilson.
No.
But he's a good linebacker. He has elite marketing. And let's be real about this, Sonny. You know this. Jarrett knows this, and Ace knows this. They be giving Raven linebackers a buff.
Ray Lewis got plenty of lifetime achievement awards.
The Ray Lewis buff is a thing. It's been a thing since they were giving him credit for that god awful year he had with Joe Flacco carried them to a Super Bowl.
Nobody talked in that playoff round about Ray Lewis, how great he was.
Huh?
They talk about his speeches in that playoff round. Nobody talk about how
they said the speeches didn't make sense. Joe Flacco said the speeches didn't.
Joe Flacco said that.
25 to the. But anyways, so We know that the Ravens get a buff in the public. Roquan Smith has been very good about advocating. He's the Draymond Green of football. Like at one point, he was like that. Like 2018, Roquan Smith was like that. I ain't going to deny it. Roquan Smith in Georgia was like that. This Ravens version of Roquan Smith, yeah. Best thing y'all can say about him is, well, when Roquan Smith arrived that one year, the whole defense got better. The defense struggled at the beginning of this year, last year, and Roquan Smith was there for that. How come that doesn't make us reevaluate all of these narratives that surround Roquan Smith? When I say he's overrated, I am saying that look at the shit that people give Roquan Smith on his jacket and just really ask yourself, when you watch the Ravens play, when your team plays the Ravens, how much are you really thinking about Roquan Smith? Unless it's Tony Romo on the broadcast goes, oh, Roquan Smith, he's so good, Jim. Gee, Jim, Roquan Smith's so good. And then Roquan Smith gets a fucking tackle 5 yards after the line of scrimmage. They're like, oh, look at Roquan Smith wrap him up there. Like, that's not the job of every Mike linebacker in the NFL. He has been cleared by so many people over the last 2 years in this elite conversation. You don't watch Roquan Smith play and think he has the same impact on the game that Zach Braun has. You don't watch Roquan Smith and think he has the same impact on the game than Fred Warner. I've been challenging Raven fans to do this since y'all traded for Roquan Smith. But please, show me the games where it's like Roquan Smith dominated his will on the other defense. Or is it always, well, Roquan can't control this, Roquan can't control that. And I'm like, yeah, that's true for players who aren't like that. So that's what I'm saying. I've seen Logan Wilson more recently take over games than Roquan Smith. And let's be real, Pat Queen has cleared him.
Oh, hell no. Okay.
Yeah. Pat Queen is cleared.
Not even the Steelers. Not even the Steelers will give you that.
Eclipses Roquan Smith at this point. He's an above average starter at the linebacker position with the Gucci belt, right? With the Chrome Hearts belt on, right? With the designer on. He got tinted windows on an Acura. Like, that's what Roquan Smith is.
Tinted windows on an Acura.
That's
He's a
custom
crazy painted pair of Air Force Ones. At the end of the day, them bitches still gonna crease. And that's what Roquan Smith does. You can throw at Roquan Smith. You can run at Roquan Smith. What exactly is Roquan Smith stopping you from doing?
I think the biggest problem that Roquan Smith has, Q, is, in my opinion, and you can debate me on this, his teammate, his companion, right? So I think Ace, you said you guys basically play. No, you guys play two linebackers, right? You have both middle linebackers there. We do the same thing. I think the Ravens, when they had for a moment the three safeties, they were trying to get away from that, and that's when Kyle Hamilton was coming down a little bit more. Because the second linebacker we had was not playing. Look, there's a guy that I like a lot with Simpson. I was hoping he can make. I was hoping he can be like PQ, right? He hasn't so far.
I can go down the list of Ravens players on the defense. I feel like you feel more than Roquan Smith on a week-to-week basis. Kyle Benoit, Kyle Hamilton, Matabuke.
The thing is,
Marlon Humphrey.
Yes, the thing is, Q. I think what Roquan does is, Roquan plays about the 6 or 7 yard line. Is roughly where he plays, right? And then the second linebacker, whoever it is, right? Like last year, it was just rotating between the guy that is in the Steelers now, Malik Harrison, Simpson, Chris Board, undrafted rookie. He wasn't a rookie, but all these guys, right? Because all these guys were heavily flawed. Essentially, what Roquan does is, y'all go attack the line of scrimmage. I'm going to stay back here, because if you think Roquan is deficient in the line, and I will grant you that, especially as the Ravens have been moving more into a man coverage scheme, right, which I think is better for their corners. I think the corners that they have are way better in man coverage than they're in zone coverage. When we were doing or trying to do zone coverage, we're ass. The corners are ass. Now, Roquan is really good in zone coverage. But the problem is when you flip it on the other way, right? Which also happens because I know PQ was gonna get, not only with the Steelers, with the Ravens the same way, he will get eaten in man coverage. Roquan's not great in man coverage either, right? So when you ask Roquan to do that, yes, he's not good. I'm not here gonna cap. He is not good in that. Now, the time that he plays zone coverage, he is good, right? He knows how to play, watching the quarterback, watching the ball, and dissect where the play is going. What he does really good is he closes the gap on the play, right? He avoids his tackle rate, tackle efficiency is very high. When he goes now, what his teammates do say is when you're tackling, if you don't bring him down, Roquan's coming and he's just gonna take everybody out, right? Because he's a very strong dude.
Oh, you said what?
If for
If
example,
somebody else makes the play, Roquan Smith can help clean it up.
yeah, but listen what I'm saying. Marlon Humphrey, yes, listen, because you haven't let me finish. When Marlon Humphrey, because Marlon Humphrey is the one that has made this point a lot. When he hits somebody in the boundary over there near the sideline, and if he says, if I don't bring him down, Roquan comes from the middle all the way to assist me, but he won't tackle my guy. He will tackle me and my guy all together and bring us both down. Right? Now, you cannot expect the middle linebacker from the middle to go all the way there where there's a man coverage as a corner. But I'm saying he goes and assists those plays. His closing rate, that is what Roquan does well, in my opinion. That's where he excels. He has to play a little bit off from the line of scrimmage. I actually think he will because when he played in Chicago, he was not the mic guy, right? He was not the mic guy coming from Chicago. He became the mic guy not the first year he came here, because Chuck Clark used to be the mic guy. The second year when Chuck Clark was let go, he then became the mic guy, which he is in year 4 going to Baltimore now, I think.
He's on the green dot.
Yeah, mic guy, green dot. Yeah. Sorry. But as a green dot, right, with PQ, where PQ excels, and Jared, you can tell me if I'm wrong, blitzing. PQ is excellent. He finds the crease in the line in the line of scrimmage, and he can go get that quarterback, right? Or the running back, right? If you put PQ in coverage, he is completely lost. Not even in zone coverage, right? He is just not great. But as a blitzer, PQ is all-time elite. And he was great with us, right? But what does that do? Well, that makes Roquan say, well, I have to let him go attack the line of scrimmage. I can't unless it's a double linebacker blitz, right? Unless it's that, I have to play back. So Roquan, if you go watch a Ravens game, he will be in the line of scrimmage, and before the play snap, unless he's blitzing, he pulls back, right? He pulls back because the other linebacker plays. So unless he's the only linebacker, we're playing a 3-safety scheme for that play. But that is why his tackles from the when he makes the play, forgot how you call the stat, is 3-4 yards after on the running side, is because he's coming from back versus another linebacker that is attacking the line of scrimmage. You essentially either make the tackle or not. Now, you can also tell me, well, Sonny, you're talking about his efficiency tackling and his closing rate. Why so high? Well, because he's watching the play develop so he can go, right? So two things could be through at once. But my point is, a lot of the stats that you're mentioning, Q, is because where he starts as the play's developing, he starts back because he lets his wheel linebacker, right, go in. You go in, you play near the line of scrimmage, because the reality is the second guy that the Ravens have had, we haven't had. And I think this is why they wanted a guy like Simpson, or what I wanted a guy like the guy you guys got, right? Schwinchinger, whatever, however you pronounce his name, right? Because he can play better coverage, in my opinion, than Roquan can, or could, or will, right? And then that will allow Roquan then to do what other linebackers do, which is, let me attack the line of scrimmage, right? If it looks like a run, you're just going to go blow it up, right? But Roquan has a different assignment. He lets the other linebacker go attack the line of scrimmage, and then Roquan is there to check and clean up crew, right? To avoid a big play coming from the running back. To avoid, if something comes through the middle, to go and get it. Again, when he's matched up as a man defense, and by the way, my Ravens are my 2, since I'm talking about the Ravens. When the passing game comes through the middle of the field, right? If Roquan is lined up against a tight end, which it has happened, tight end usually wins the battle. I'm not gonna hear say like, look, Roquan can just clamp down on any tight end. No, on the running backs, it depending on the route, on a wheel route, if it is a little bit deep, yeah, he's gonna get toast as well.
Okay, so here's my whole point about Roquan, right? What you just described there is not an elite linebacker, though. Like that's my whole entire point. Are they asking him to rove around the line of scrimmage and do whatever he wants? No, I'm not expecting him to look like Ray Lewis and have that kind of freedom, but you still are expected to make plays at the line of scrimmage. We talked about his tackling, right? Like that's the big thing you bring up with him. He's such a short tackler. His missed tackle percentage isn't even that great.
He missed 11 tackles last year.
It's like, okay, it's a good number. It's not an elite number. And that's the whole thing.
I guess my point to you,
we
Q,
keep
is
bringing up stuff about him, and it's like, yeah, I can make the same argument about Christian Kirksey in 2015 and his effectiveness, or like a guy like DeQuell Jackson or somebody like that. But that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about people who are like absolutely changing the game. And it's just interesting to me that when the conversation comes to Roquan, it's about why he can't do the things that we see other elite linebackers are doing instead of what elite things that he is actually doing. And that's my whole issue with the Roquan Smith treatment. What is he doing at an elite level? Tell me what Roquan Smith does at an elite level, because I don't see anything that he's doing.
So how I see it, Q, is
at this point of his career,
the what Roquan does best is basically bailing all his teammates. That's how I see it. When
he's
the team, no, because he doesn't play that. He doesn't do it on the 30-yard line, but he essentially has been playing a quasi safety on the midpoint of the field, right, from the 7 to 8 yards. That's where it starts. My point to you is because Roquan, because his teammate, his second in hand, right, hasn't been or is, if you want to call Roquan a liability in coverage, the second in command for him, right, whoever his second is, has been so much worse in as a coverage guy that they say, Roquan, you cannot play like you play in Chicago, right? Because in Chicago, he will be all over the line of scrimmage. That's what Roquan did in Chicago, right? In Baltimore, you don't see him. Go check. He's there telling the play to the D lineman, but see where the snap goes, where Roquan goes. He doesn't go forward necessarily. He most of the time go backwards.
Well,
right?
Most linebackers go backwards after the snap because they're going to be in like some kind of zone or some kind of cloud coverage over the middle.
But even a man.
But you can still, like, you're not going to tell me that there's not plays where they don't blitz Roquan Smith and ask him to get maybe on the line of scrimmage.
I agree.
Like, okay, if he's not asked to do that all the time, when he does do that, you expect elite efficiency out of somebody like that, right? That's not what we're seeing from Roquan. We're seeing average efficiency in those moments. We're seeing average playmaking ability in those moments. Yes, is he being probably overexposed because they're asking him to cover so much in Baltimore system? Yeah, but that doesn't make up for the fact that when he's doing the other things that he does, he's not doing it at an elite level. Like, that's the thing. Is he an elite linebacker? Because I'm hearing a lot of reasons why he can't be elite right now and not any reasons on why he is elite. And that brings me to my larger point about this linebacker room for the Ravens. A lot of it is propped up on the reputation of Roquan Smith. Like a lot of it.
Well, the rest of the linebacking core are all young guys, right? We drafted the guy from Cal.
Trent Simpson.
And Trent Simpson
was very much up and down last year.
Yes.
And then what?
Buchanan is the guy that we just drafted. Yes.
Like, if I'm going to knock the Bengals room for not being that deep and Logan Wilson not being like that elite tier linebacker that can anchor that room for me to put them above some of these other teams that I do legitimately believe are deeper at the linebacker position, then I can't put the Ravens any higher because all of this is anchored on Roquan Smith, and everything that we've looked at over the last 2 years with Roquan Smith has pointed to him being closer to not a pedestrian, but like a above average linebacker than an elite linebacker.
Yeah.
If we want to put him in neighborhoods, what neighborhood are we really putting Roquan Smith in? Like, are we putting him up there with the best linebackers?
Now with Fred Warner, I've never said that he's better than Fred Warner.
You've never said that. I'll give you the credit. You've never put him above Fred, and like that.
And Zach Bond last year had a hell of a year, right? Yeah. Zach Bond had a hell of a year last year. The thing is with the Ravens and Bengals, because I do think it's closer because our depth is not there. We don't have, it's basically Roquan and Simpson, a guy that I think I like, or not think. I like him, but he hasn't produced. And by the way, this is why I can never put a lot of stock on rookies, because his rookie year, special teamers. Then last year, he was supposed to be the guy, right? Because PQ left. He got 2 guys that took snaps from him. My point is, yes, we're thin. That's why they're not. And I actually think the Ravens are not closer to the Steelers, which will be my number 1. They're probably closer to the Bengals because the Bengals have a potential better depth than the Ravens do, right? Because it's all, again, with a lot of young guys also with the Bengals. And also, by the way, with the Browns. I say a guy that I love a lot is the guy from the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, the Ravens, what they've done for Roquan is they said, look, we know you can do this, but if you go and do the roaming and play on the line of scrimmage like PQ used to do for us, and again, did it really? And before they traded PQ, or not traded for Roquan, PQ still did really good, the whole blitzing and being in the middle of the field, but we got exposed every single time in the middle.
I'm not asking that he be at the top of the league and run stops with like cumulative numbers. I'm saying the efficiency, Sonny. That's the thing. It's like he is asked to do some of that stuff during the course of the year. It's not all the time for the reasons that you have mentioned. I agree with you. But the efficiency of when he's doing what you ask him to do, the kind of playmaking stuff that you want a linebacker to do. He's not doing that at elite level. And that's what turns a linebacker from a pretty good linebacker, you know, the class of linebacker that we've mentioned before, to an elite linebacker is, hey, when they are asked to make plays, they can make plays at high efficiency numbers, right? And that's not there with Roquan Smith.
The one thing I will grant you here, Q, is this. I think the Ravens, as they have moved from one type of defense to the other, right? And as I will agree that this current type of defensive scheme that they have is not conducive for Roquan to be the best version of Roquan. I don't think he is necessarily worth the 20 mil for this type of defense, right? Because what we're asking him to do, he doesn't necessarily excel. I will grant you that, right? So if the Ravens switch defense, I think he can be like when he got traded here. He wasn't the mic guy. He got, I don't know, 3 or 4 interceptions in that half a year span, and he was. They allow him to play way more free, right? They allow him to react more. And here, because he has to make sure everybody is in the same in the right spot, and then he has to play back and then basically react a little bit more. And by the way, Fred Warner does something similar to him, but again, Fred Warner, in my opinion, is better than Roquan. I don't think that necessarily plays to his strength. That's all.
But don't you think, Sonny, shouldn't his job be easier because you have more talented players around him? Like you got Justin Matabuke, you got Kyle Hamilton, and I'm just coming at it from this angle because we don't have a Kyle Hamilton, we don't have a Justin Matabuke, we don't have a Kyle Van Noy that has over 10 sacks. So in theory, shouldn't that help him? Like you guys have. I mean, we do have Trey, but like outside of that, we don't have a bunch of like you guys have all pros on your team.
Well, we yes, and the second
Trey is an all pro to your credit.
Yeah,
you have several. Like I have one. You have several
3-4 where they're going to be the lanes are going to be more spread out, right? For a linebacker to be able to shoot through. And like I get, okay, Roquan's not asked to do that, but the efficiency should be elite for somebody who's in the situation that he is. He has great defensive help in front of him on that line, especially on the interior of it. Like there's really no reason he should be middling in a lot of these stats when it comes to his efficiency, when it comes to his ability to make these plays. Like that is my overall thing. If Roquan were doing this, maybe he's not having as many big plays as like Zach Brown, because they're not asking him to do that as much, but the efficiency is up there. I would get that argument. My issue is we're talking about a guy who, even when he does do these things, is ranking consistently in the middle of the pack amongst his peers at these things, even the things that we consider are his strengths, which are run defense, overall tackle numbers. I mean, his tackle numbers should be insane if all he's really like, if what the bread and butter of what he's being asked to do isn't to go out one-on-one in the backfield and, you know, try to take a guy down by himself and just kind of clean stuff up. He should have insanely efficient tackle numbers. He has decent numbers. And that's the thing, is like, okay, what's really the impact there of this player? How do you rate that to this room? And I put the Bengals at 4 because I have no faith in that defensive interior, and I think that's going to greatly affect linebacker play. The Ravens have good enough defensive interior play where they'll be above average at the linebacker position. But it's basically the same conundrum I'm in with Logan Wilson and the rest of that room when it comes to the Ravens in this room, because my opinion of Roquan Smith is just not as high as the rest of the leagues.
So I'll finish with this, because again, I also and before I go to you, Jared, I have a couple of super chats, and then I'll go to you for number 2. Where Roquan has to always be good, in my opinion, it has to bring the guy down, right? That's basically my argument. He's basically the cleaner for everybody else. Mm-hmm. His miss rate right now 6.5 ish. Would I like it to be lower? Sure. For comparison, in case of Logan, Logan had more limited snaps, 8.5, PQ 13.3%. Peyton Wilson, which we'll talk about him, I like him a lot. Limited snap, but he was 7, right? So he was close to Roquan on the missed tackle rate. Both the 7% is what's considered elite for a linebacker, right? And that's what Roquan does best. He makes sure the play doesn't continue. The play cannot continue. That's where he does best, because where he plays, right? But again, I don't want to beat the dead horse. I do have him at 2. I will say that for the type of defense that the Ravens are wanted to play, if he cannot really do what they're asking him, right, on a more elite level, right, then they definitely, what they're spending on him needs to shift, because the Ravens then have to do what they're doing, right, which is we need more safeties. Because the reason why the Ravens are spending on safety, meaning 2 high draft picks, is if we're gonna play man coverage with the corners, if a corner gets burned, which will happen,
so
right?
We should see more out of Roquan this year.
Then what?
So we should be able to see more now that they got Malachi Starks back there. They got the extra corner.
Maybe they make him play more in the line.
We should see him. Okay,
yeah,
we'll see how that plays out during the season.
Yeah, maybe he plays more in the line. Okay, we have a couple super chats here. I don't want to ignore all of them. Oh my goodness, says linebacker is really the Will, Mike, and Sam. The Steelers' best linebackers are edge rushers. Browns have depth in Baker, Bush, Hicks, Schwessinger, and Diabate. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Diabate, yes.
Ravens only have Roquan. Q knows what's up. Bengals only have Logan.
Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, appreciate the super chat. And Ray Rag also, thank you for the super chat. Says, I wonder if the Browns had more talented linebackers, how much they would get out of them, considering what they've gone out of the ones they've had. I think Tarver, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Jason Tarver
is the best position coach in the AFC North and maybe the NFL. And now from Nightmare Kilo says, he's nowhere to be found. Once come to the playoff time. I'm assuming that's what he meant. And I'm assuming what you're meaning is from Roquan. And then Ray Rag says, Q, my favorite Roquan highlight is when the entire Browns offense pushed him and like 5 other Ravens 15 yards to get that first down to set up the game-winning field goal 2 years ago. Also is in the running was the game-winning touchdown pass he gave to Najee Harris. Oh, I remember that. We didn't let that one go.
That was nasty.
We didn't let that one go. Okay.
That whole game was unwatchable, but the last 3 minutes were kind of fun, I guess.
Hey man, can Kenny Pickett make it happen again?
Dude, the amount of stuff that I saw from people after that game was like, Kenny Pickett's him, and if you say otherwise, you're a hater. I'm like, all right, bro.
You know what I need to have happen to Pittsburgh is Kenny Pickett get one of those bullshit comebacks, but for the Browns, and then just so Steelers fans could finally acknowledge how jank that shit looked when it was happening.
Like I said, I had to deal with that for a while, but I felt like AJ Hawk that entire Roquan thing. So I'll just say this real quick.
Sorry.
I thought there's a lot of people that I would take. There was a lot of people I would take over Roquan. Like I would take Frankie Louvu over him. Cheddar Bob Spillane last year. The last 2 years, he's had 140 plus tackles in each year. Like he's played a hell of a player that he's been over the past couple years and earned a big deal in New England. So I think there's a lot of names. I think I don't want to say he's all name because like Roquan's a good starting linebacker. I don't think that he is to the caliber. I think that people are making him out to be like, Aaron Judge when he's, I don't know, what's a good baseball player. Maybe that was a horrible analogy. I don't know baseball.
You know what he is? He's like the Brock Purdy of linebackers. Like he's aight, but like
okay, yeah. This is fun. We can think of what quarterback Roquan Smith would be. I think it would be. Where would he be right now? Brock's not bad. I mean, I'm very low on Brock Purdy, so maybe that's a bad example. I think
you're high on Brock Purdy.
I'm low on Brock Purdy. No.
I was gonna say
no. I think that he's like
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff is fine. I think that is a good one. Yes, he's Jared Goff
of linebackers. Like you can talk to yourself into, oh my God, well Jared Goff's actually elite. If you look at this and that, and look at how the Lions change but every once in a while you're gonna be reminded that Jared Goff.
Yeah, go watch that Commanders game, or go watch the game against Washington in the playoffs.
Dak. I ain't gonna go that far.
No, not Dak either.
I think Dak's fine.
No,
I don't know why everybody hates on Dak so much.
No, it's not that I hate Dak. It's just like I don't think his numbers are inflated. Like there's a lot of that with Dak.
Every time that Dak gets hurt, we're reminded how good he is because the Cowboys do pure shit without him. So I think
they almost made the playoffs last year.
No, they did not.
Who, the Dallas?
No.
Dallas was way off.
I don't know. My voice could get that high. That was exciting.
Defender.
Yeah, I like Dak. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's a top 5 guy, but he's a top 10 guy. I think Dak's fine. But
Jared's a wrestling fan because every once in a while he has the undeniable urge to just back the heel. Aaron Rodgers, you know what? I like him.
I do. And I can't wait to watch him.
Do.
In terms of my 1-2, I would put the Ravens 2. I think that like Kyle Van Noy isn't an edge guy, but they use him predominantly as a pass rusher. And then Trenton Simpson.
That's all he plays for us, by the way.
Yeah.
I know he used to be a middle linebacker.
He's a weak side rusher at this point. I think that Trenton Simpson, two up and down to be like considered like a strength for the defense. And that's not to say that Patrick Queen was perfect last year. There were times, especially like Steelers fans remember the Colts game where Joe Flacco just picked them apart on 3rd down, and a lot of it was just finding where 6 was and throwing at him. So there was a lot of issues in pass coverage, especially early in the year when it came to Roquan or when it came to Patrick Queen. But there were games where he was legit fantastic. The Chargers game, he was very good. The Dallas game, he actually played very well. The first game, the home game against Cleveland, and then the first game against Baltimore, fantastic in both of those as well. So like there were times where PQ like legitimately took over on the defensive side of the ball, but we need to see that more consistently. I think going into his second year, even more comfortable having the green dot for the second year, because last year, he was the green dot guy right away. So I think he'll continue to get better this year. Peyton Wilson, who legitimately one of my favorite Steelers, every time I talk to him, he blows my mind just how smart he is when it comes to football. So I love Peyton Wilson, and I think he's going to be in for an even bigger year. They're going to ask him to do a lot more now that Landon Roberts isn't there. They brought over Malik Harrison from Baltimore, and I couldn't care less. I think that
get excited for Malik.
Yeah, he's a bum. I shouldn't say bum. That's not nice. But he does absolutely nothing for that room. It'll be PQ, Peyton Wilson, and then Cole Holcomb was coming back from injury, didn't play at all last year. But in 2023, when he was playing, actually had a really nice role in that defense. But they had such a litany of injuries that year. That's when they brought they brought Miles Jack out of retirement for like a month because they ran out of depth. They signed dudes from different practice squads and whatnot, really had to put together a linebacking core because everybody got hurt, and Cole Holcomb was one of those guys. So the top 3 of PQ, Peyton Wilson, and Cole Holcomb, I'm looking forward to seeing. And I think in terms of depth, they're deeper than what Baltimore is. So that's why I would put them 1.
And just for dragging in the comments here, we don't consider Jack Sawyer to be a stand-up linebacker for the Ravens.
Oh yeah. He's going to play edge.
Yeah.
I already said my 2.
By the way, no sentence makes me feel older than Miles. Than what you said.
Miles Jack came out of retirement. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He came under. out of retirement?
Yeah, he wasn't on a team last year. He was doing like construction work. Like he has a construction company, I think. So like he was just like doing stuff with that. And then Quan Alexander got hurt in 2023. Cole Holcomb got hurt in 2023. Like all of their inside linebackers got hurt. And so Miles Jack had played there the year before. So they called him and they brought him into play. They had to do the same thing with safeties. They brought in Eric Rowe, who was on a practice squad. Like they had such a like glued together from random dudes from the last decade just to fill in spots because they were so hurt on that side of the ball. It was crazy.
They had all like half the 2020 All-Pro defense.
They had another guy whose name is escaping me and it's pissing me off. I think it was another linebacker. They got him, I think, off the Giants practice squad. But his name is escaping me. If there's anybody in the comments who remembers, please put it in there because it will bother me.
Okay, Ace, your number 2.
Yeah, my number 2 is going to be Baltimore here. And I think Q is right when he says Roquan is overrated. I don't think he's saying that he's a bad linebacker or anything like that. I think there is a point of his game that's overrated. It kind of reminds me of Bryant Urlacher. Bryant Urlacher used to get all of these like accolades and love, covers and everything. And I felt like there were other linebackers that were possibly better than him, but they didn't get the same shine. I think Roquan's issue the last couple of years has been his coverage kind of aspect, but I think he's still a really good linebacker. I think I'm putting the Ravens here based off of reputation. Like, because when I look at their depth, they don't have any. Like, they have really big question marks outside of Roquan Smith, and I think they actually miss Pat Queen a lot. Like, I know, like, some people are like, oh, it's all good that we moved on from him. I don't think that linebacker room has been the same since Pat Queen has left, because I think Roquan needs somebody else to feed off of to be kind of that dominant player that he was when he first got to the Ravens. I still think he's a really good player, but I think what takes him to that next level is when he had Pat Queen able to be there and kind of be a Robin. They don't have a Robin right now. They don't have a Batgirl. They don't have an Alfred. I don't know what they have right now at the second linebacker position for them. But
that was funny.
Given that I still think that Roquan is better slightly than Logan Wilson, and I think Logan Wilson's better in coverage, but I think as an overall linebacker, Roquan is better. I'm giving them the edge here. Number 1 has to be the Steelers. I think they have the perfect mix of talent and depth. I think when you talk about Peyton Wilson, you talk about Patrick Queen and what they have there. I do know Holcomb. I'm familiar with him as well. I think that they have possibly the deepest room in here, and I think you can go off of their reputation as well, because, you know, the Steelers just always have that defensive representation and reputation similar to what the Ravens have. So they're going to have linebackers that are going to go out there and give you solid play from the position. These teams have always generally had pretty good linebackers for the most part. Most of the time that they've been established, that's kind of been their identity. But to me, I'm giving the edge definitely to the Steelers just because they have more depth and they have a more exciting room, and I think they have more potential than the Ravens.
By the way, I did find out the other two linebackers. It was Blake Martinez.
Whoa, from Nebraska?
Yeah. So Blake Martinez was brought in, and then Michael Mykal Walker was another one.
Jesus, I thought you were going to bring up Chris Borland after you dropped.
No.
Now that's not the guy that was the rando Super Bowl MVP, was it? Where it was like a linebacker for the Seahawks. That was like
the Seahawks.
The dude on the Seahawks. Yeah, who was that?
Oh, I think the Browns had him for a year.
Yeah, they definitely did. Oh, who the hell was it? Oh, that's gonna piss me off.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, he got drafted before Peaky that year, right? Are we talking about that guy?
No, it's a linebacker.
Malcolm Smith. Yeah, shout out Ray Rags.
Smith.
Yeah,
Malcolm
yes.
Smith. Yeah,
Malcolm Smith. He was on the Browns for a couple of years. He was actually pretty decent for us.
Oh yeah, like Malcolm Smith wasn't a bum or anything. It was just like really random.
Yeah, he had like 3 interceptions or something like that.
This is one of those Dexter Jackson kind of.
It was what, Larry Brown when
Larry Brown, when the Cowboys beat the Steelers. Yep.
Yeah.
Neil O'Donnell threw him 2
then
loaves
you're the
of bread.
team that goes out and signs them afterwards, thinking that I got the next thing. Yeah.
That was the Raiders who did that. They gave Larry Brown a bunch of big. But there was like a stint in the '90s where Al Davis would see who the Super Bowl MVP was or who played well in the Super Bowl and would just pay him a shit ton of money. Did it with Larry Brown. Did it with Desmond Howard.
No, you know what's hilarious?
Hostetler. That was crazy.
Look, Al Davis makes it clear because he says this stuff publicly, but a lot of owners are that guy on sports talk radio that goes, he looked pretty good. I don't see why we shouldn't sign that guy. Like,
If you were fast or played good in the Super Bowl, Al Davis loved you.
I can just imagine how that helps you, right? Like that is so many owners in the NFL. They're basically not that different from the guy who calls in on sports talk radio.
Oh, exactly. Like they're just rich fans.
They just
Who
saw
probably
Deion
don't
Branch
watch
go
this
ham
stuff
in the
as
Super
much
Bowl.
as
And
actual fans do. Like,
they see these guys go ham in the Super Bowl, and they're like, you know what? Deion Branch, let's go ahead and sign him up. Let's do
and
it.
think about it like this. Most of the time they're watching the Super Bowl, they're in a box entertaining like 40 other different business interests. They're barely watching the fucking game, man. Like they're just
They
like,
box scoring it. They box scoring it, bro.
They're like, hey, their nephew or something is like, hey, man, Malcolm Smith, he's next up. I got him in my fantasy draft. And that's why your team brings him in for $35 million.
Pretty crazy.
Q, you're number 2.
I'm going to be crazy here. I understand that I'm going to be ridiculed for this in the short term.
I applaud supporting your squad, though.
Validated over the long term. I'm putting Pittsburgh at 2. I like Pittsburgh's room. I think I'm in the group of people who are higher on Pat Queen than most. Now, is this because of necessity? Because I hate on Roquan Smith? Certain people in the comment section would certainly make you believe that. Sonny would certainly like to sell you on that. But I've always had a great track record of supporting Roquan Smith.
Oh, I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna go the other way. I had a track record of supporting PQ. I'm like, what? When that happened?
You know what I mean? But Pat Queen, I think, look, the Steelers asked their linebackers to be put in more danger than any other team in the NFL based on how they like to run these base coverage linemen. Now, I think they've been
so annoying.
They've toned down on it a little bit. Since like it wasn't, I think it was like 42% base.
There was like in like 2018, they lost a game because they had Sean Spence, I think it was, covering Keenan Allen. It was like, all right, cool, neat.
Yeah.
Like it's just so bad.
Yeah, but to Pat Queen's credit, I thought that would be a lot more disastrous for him than it ended up being. There were certainly moments where you were like, oh, yeah, they're doing the thing that people do to Steelers linebackers, but it wasn't a reliable week in, week out strategy, which is like a win if you're Pittsburgh, right? If he's not such a vulnerability that you can just attack him, guaranteed it's going to work out. Peyton Wilson, I have concerns about the fact that this man has no cartilage in the knees anymore.
Hey, you can't tear what you don't have.
I mean, that's fair, but you can chip bone, right? So that's my concern about his long-term health, but he's been a pretty solid player for them overall. Also, Pittsburgh I feel like linebacker play, what you get out the room is what you can make out of it. And I think Pittsburgh has done a really good job with these back end pieces, getting something out of them, whether it be special teams coverage or anything along the likes. I think it's a really solid room. You want me to just jump to my one?
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason I have Cleveland at 1 is I think Cleveland has the best depth in the room. I think JOK, if he were healthy, that would have put it over the top for me. I would have been really gung-ho about it. But unfortunately, JOK is not healthy. He's probably not going to be healthy anytime soon. And even when he is healthy, it's a huge question mark on what he's going to be able to be. But when I look at this Browns linebacker room, I see a lot of solid veteran players in a mix of young players who can also fit into that rotation, right? Jordan Hicks, Jerome Baker. Jerome Baker's a good rotational backup linebacker at this point, but Jordan Hicks was really solid for the Browns last year, both in coverage against run defense. And then Mahmoud Diabate, Devin Bush holding down, what is it? Do they hold down the Sam? They hold down to Sam, yeah. So Mahmoud Diabate, Devin Bush, I thought they did well. I thought Devin Bush really surprised me because at one point I said, oh, my mama, Devin Bush ain't going to do nothing for the Browns. And he actually did something for the Browns. He was actually useful.
And that whack-ass jersey number that he had, by the way?
30.
It's not good.
He's got no swag. He's never had it. No juice. But, hey, look, he was a fine linebacker to have out there. Look, this Browns linebacker room's depth has been tested over the last couple of years. It's always held up pretty solidly. I do think Jason Tarver is one of the hidden gems that the Cleveland Browns have. Not a lot of people know about him. And then you look at the will linebacker position. You got Carson Schlesinger, and then the rookie they drafted last year, Nathaniel Watson, holding that down. And I think Carson will be able to do that, probably be elevated to the point to where he can get a little bit of mic action during the season. And then you could put Jordan Hicks or Diabite or Devin Bush at that opposite will linebacker spot. And I think you can go about 5 deep with these Browns linebackers and still find you a playable guy, which is the most that you could say about any of these other linebacker rooms. The Browns do not have the star power at the top of this room, right? JOK certainly takes a hit to that. And I think that's why a lot of people are going to turn their nose up at me putting them here, because Roquan Smith is a big name. He's a star power attraction. Logan Smith is a big name there, right? Pat Queen is a big free agency signing. The Browns don't have anything that can compete with that name-wise, but I'm confident with what they have on this defense surrounding this linebacker room that one will emerge during the season, given how many quality players that they have out there right now. And it's going to lead to one of the better performing linebacker rooms and the best performing linebacker rooms in the North. This is my big swing in the rankings. Okay. I don't think I'm going to take another big swing like this, but this is my big swing here. I think the Browns linebacker room is a lot better than people know. And I think, there's a good chance that we walk out here and think that, like if Carson Schlesinger emerges as a top linebacker, right, in the same conversation as Logan Wilson, in the same realm of where I put Roquan Smith, right, which is like that pretty damn good linebacker, which we all think is very possible for him, then you look at the depth that this room has, and it's very much on par with what every room has, plus more depth. So, I got the Browns at 1 here. We'll see what happens. This guy either age like fine wine or age terribly, but it'd be entertaining to find out. That's what we're all in it for, right?
So for me, Gary, you already said your stuff, right? You want to add anything else?
We're all good. Yes.
So I had obviously I said the Steelers number 1. The reality is, I'm gonna say this: Peyton Wilson played way better than I expected him last year. I was tempted to go as far as saying that he's better than PQ, but the difference is PQ got so many snaps that he had the opportunity of getting exposed. Wilson didn't. He had almost like limited snaps. So my question with Wilson will be, because again, I thought he was fantastic when I saw him play. As his snap counts goes higher, is he gonna stay consistent where he is? Not even getting better. Like, give me the play that you have. Or actually, I don't want him to play that way. But my point is, if he plays the same way in limited snaps, if you double his snaps, almost double to the amount that PQ had, can he stay the same way? Guess he can't. If he can, he's better than PQ, and he's your best linebacker, and he's a top-tier linebacker in the league. Or when he gets more snaps, what happen for him will be what happened to PQ, that it's up and down. Like PQ will give you moments you're like, damn. Again, I love PQ when he blitz because he's a bullet coming down. Like, dude is like, phew, that is his strength.
I think that's what they're gonna like. It's gonna be more specialized roles because of Landon Roberts not being there. He was their best run defending linebacker. They're gonna ask PQ to do a little bit more of that, and I think Peyton Wilson, who is a better like side to side kind of guy, will be the more pass coverage guy. So, which he was really good at North Carolina State, doing one of the better like coverage linebackers in the nation his final year there. So, I mean, in large part, I think that's a big reason why they drafted him. I mean, even as early as OTAs last year, I remember they were using him as the dime backer during workouts, which I mean, he saw a little bit of that during the regular season. But the fact that they had that much, they were already testing to see, all right, let's see what he looks like out there doing that. Like, he's, again, one of the smarter guys on the team, I would say, in terms of just his football IQ. I think he's going to have a big year too. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does.
I don't disagree. The question that I really have with Wilson is obviously, again, if you increase snap, is there any exposure to his game? Which I don't know. Again, I like him a lot. But it's more with injuries, right? Because I don't know if that was the reason that he got limited.
Played in all 17, I think. Hold on.
Yeah, but
let me not look like a jackass real quick.
It's the snap count. Like,
all 17, let's go.
Like PQ Pitt, I think it was almost 1,100 snaps or something like that. and Wilson was like
Wilson
almost
played
half.
in 45% of defensive
Yeah.
snaps last year. Also
Yeah.
played special teams.
So
I have not heard that name in a while. Alec Ogletree. That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
saw that. I'm like, damn. Damn, they talk about old boy from Georgia.
Yeah,
Alec Ogletree.
I've not heard that name in a while.
2013 draft, Alec Ogletree.
That's that's crazy.
Damn.
It's a blast from the past.
Woo.
Anyway, I do think those two, if Wilson can be what I think he's gonna be on a regular basis, right? Not on a rotation, he's gonna be there permanently. I think he can potentially take some of the weakness that PQ has and allow PQ to do more of what he likes to do, because I think they're really good complementary linebacker to each other. One does well what the other one doesn't, right? That's why I have them here number one. Ace.
Yeah, I already gave mine. I gave both of my top two.
Gotcha. We have a super chat here real quick. Ray Rack says, again, Ray Rack, we appreciate the super chats. They paid Desmond Howard $6 million over 4 years after he was paid just $300,000 by the Packers.
Yeah, Al Davis was crazy with that checkbook back in the day.
Yeah, he had
He was wild.
95 yards receiving.
If you ran a 4.3 or 4.4, like get ready to learn Raider Nation. But
yeah,
number 7 overall pick, Darius Hayward-Bay.
Terrell Pryor.
He drafted a kicker in the first round.
He drafted Sebastian Janikowski in the first round.
If you played Madden back then, the Raiders were very good.
Fast as
Everybody
hell.
had 90 speed.
I remember there was like this remix to the motto, but it was for the Drake, like for Madden. Someone made like this back in 2010 when that was really popular for people to do song parodies. And I remember one of the lines was, "I always bench the Raiders starting quarterback to put it to Terrell Pryor every day."
It's crazy.
Put him in a game he don't even play every day.
Jacoby Ford, Lewis Murphy, Darius Hayward-Bay, who was good on Madden. Wasn't good in real life, but he was good on Madden.
Hey, Steelers legend Darius Hayward-Bay.
Oh my goodness. What's the other guy that they had from the Colts? Remember him? Legend.
He was the Raiders.
Tony used to talk on him.
Dante Moncrief, yeah.
Moncrief,
Oh God.
Moncrief.
Dude, Mason Rudolph's first taste of action when Ben hurt his elbow against Seattle. Mason Rudolph probably leads them to a win if Dante Moncrief could have caught anything that was touched his hands. Holy, Dante Moncrief that day couldn't have caught crabs from a $10 hooker. He was horrible. Oh, he was bad. I don't know Dante Moncrief personally. I hated him with every fiber of my being that day. He sucked.
It's always the player. It's never the worst player on the team that you hate. It's the player that's good enough, but bad enough.
I was excited when they signed him because he just had a huge year with Indy, I think.
Who lets you down, right? Like, oh yeah, you can look at him, man. He looks great.
I can't remember if he went from Indy to Jacksonville to Pittsburgh or Jacksonville, Indy, Pittsburgh. But regardless, he had like a really nice year the year before. The Steelers signed was like, oh hell yeah, Dante Moncrief had a really nice year, and then he was cut before the first month of the season was done. He had drops against New England week 1 as well. So like that whole year was just a whole waste, obviously because Ben got hurt, but Dante Moncrief, good lord.
He came from Jacksonville.
Okay. God.
Dante Moncrief.
And then Allen Robinson come from Jacksonville too.
He was a Ram the year before.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Mike Sims Walker? Y'all remember him?
Oh gosh.
Monte was only there for like a year.
Coming to me.
Dante, he didn't even make it there a year.
Around and name random football players.
Oh no, that's fun. We could have a 9-hour podcast doing that.
Oh God,
man. Y'all remember Spencer Lannon?
Dude, oh man, like a week ago, I'm laying in bed just playing like Sporkle quizzes.
TJ Ford, y'all? No.
Just,
TJ Ford was good for us.
Yeah.
Just naming like backup quarterbacks that would flash on the screen. My girlfriend looked at me, like, "Yo, it's 1 a.m. What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, that's Josh Johnson, and that's John Kitna, and that's Drew Stanton." And
that's how you pass time.
Drew Stanton.
When you hear Josh Johnson is playing for the XFL, you go, "Ooh, what time they play?" Like that. That's what I realized.
Those are some fun names. Anytime I hear a fun name, I get excited. 100% next spring, I need to see Chase Claypool in a UFL uniform.
Is in Canada?
I don't
Chase
know.
Claypool
Playing Call of Duty
downhill since he had Snapchat or something where he was like, "Y'all are gonna get clapped."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was on Snapchat live after the Browns beat him in the playoffs. Y'all gonna get clapped by the Chiefs, and it's just been downhill.
He's
an idiot. He was in Buffalo's training camp last year, and they caught him with a injury designation, but yeah, I don't know what he's
Mapletron.
gonna do.
How more annoying do you have to be as big as Chase Claypool is and have like a good
Dude,
year under your belt?
I have
and
never
nobody
seen.
wants to take a chance.
I have never seen another receiver be 6'4" for absolutely no reason. Dude cannot high point a ball.
I can tell you one.
Oh yeah.
Johnston.
I'm about to say, you know what this sounds like to
Johnston,
me?
the guy from the
It
Chargers.
reminds me of another.
Is Quentin
another
Johnson that
name,
big?
Another
Quentin
name
Johnson's 6'3".
bomb. Another random person. Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh my
Chase
goodness.
Claypool and Kelvin Benjamin. They have some similarities.
6'3".
There.
You
Quinton
know what
Johnson,
this sounded
6'3".
like? You know who Chase Claypool sounds like? The next wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, don't y'all love these guys who are big, don't play big?
No. I personally hate
Used
those
to be
guys.
good.
No. But yeah, Quinton Johnson, I remember him because I was looking into like, oh, this guy's so big. Let me look at him, right? I want him to be drafted by the Ravens. And I watched the tape. I'm like, how is this little guy, which back then was say, right?
Flowers.
Yeah, I was like, how is this guy playing like I would expect this other dude, Quentin Johnson, playing, right?
Oh my God. Who was the dude from Florida State last year? He was like this
Johnny
tight
Wilson.
end. Huh?
Johnny Wilson.
No, Johnny Wilson
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, everybody was like, oh my God, he's gonna be a beast. And I was like, I've watched him play football.
I thought he was a tight end at the beginning.
Yeah, what is he like?
Yeah.
6'7", 280
Yeah,
or
something-
something? And they're like, oh yeah.
He was the biggest guy at the Senior Bowl
Yeah.
a couple years ago. You just saw this big ass Florida State helmet, and then the red flags went off for me immediately. You look like that, and you play at Florida State, and we haven't heard about you till the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
You're probably trash.
Lose like
I didn't
molasses
say-
in the winter. Like
I didn't
bro,
say
it's just
2.0.
weird.
I didn't say 2.0.
Auden
So you
Tate.
can just throw the ball up to him. If you could do that, if he could do it in college, he'd be a first round pick.
Yeah.
They said the same
Santios-
thing about Randy Moss's kid because he ran like a 9-second whip route and he got open. I'm like, God, yeah, good luck doing that in the red zone of the
Oh.
game. Let's relax a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Hold
they-
on, that's a Bengals
they were all
legend right
over.
there.
Oh my God. If I dropped any content when we had Thaddeus Moss, it was going platinum. Back then, it went platinum.
Well, where's Thaddeus right now?
Next.
I don't know.
Don C, don't yell at me. I stole that
The
quote from
NFL version
Grumpy
of
Old
the
Men.
Big Three.
Right here is Reggie Hodges, who was a punter, had a 60-yard run against the Saints. I'll never forget that.
I'll never forget it because Reggie Hodges was the first black punter I ever seen in my life.
Right.
Right?
He's a black punter. That's
Yes,
exciting.
I believe he played on the Browns. I remember thinking we should run more trick plays.
Well,
when
who's
we had
what about?
Reggie Hodges.
Oh, so he must have been pre-Marquette King then.
Yeah, Marquette King. I remember Marquette.
Marquette King
No,
was.
this is well before Marquette King, man.
Yeah.
This was 2005.
Marquette
By the
King
way,
was
since
good.
Ray Rags brought up the black kicker thing, and this is a little bit off track. Why is it that every kicker in NCAA or college football 25 isn't white? Anybody notice that? I just wanted to make that. I just wanted to ask
Like,
if anybody
you
else.
recruit.
Yeah, like every kicker that I have or that I play, it's usually like it's not a white kicker, which I just don't.
No,
think
they
is,
don't got
is
the
accurate.
demographics right on that, man.
That's what I'm
'Cause,
saying.
like, it's a lot of white running backs you could recruit in college football 25, and I'm just like, where are y'all finding
My
these?
running back right now is
You
a
got
99
Pensacola,
speed.
Florida?
He is 99 speed, and he has the complexion of me, and he's taken Slippery Rock to another national championship, and I'm very, very excited about him. But let's.
So you're saying that EA Sports needs to add some racial bias?
I think that EA Sports just needs to like call it like it is. Like, all right, there's not going to be 130 black kickers. There's not going to be 130 white running
About
backs.
this with somebody because they did a blog today about like, oh, they made the crowd so much more realistic, and then I saw like a screenshot of a Tennessee crowd, and I'm like, I know what them games look like. I remember watching the Tennessee night game last year. I was like,
Lord.
like, they don't look like how it do on a video game. But yeah, it's an awkward place that you're put in as a video game developer. So they just put that shit on random. I don't blame them.
That's it for the rankings.
You gonna get the first black long snapper in college football 26. Can we name a black long snapper? Like,
How many long snappers can we name?
Cox is the only one that I know for the Ravens.
Ryan Point Brown.
I think we
Morgan
only know the ones from our team.
Yeah, I was gonna
I'm
say.
pretty sure.
I know the ones who've played for the Steelers in the past like decade, and that's about it.
And usually you only know them because they made a mistake. That's the only reason. That's the only reason.
Number 53.
And not for nothing, the Steelers long snapper has a podcast, by the way. I don't know how I feel about that.
Cut him.
He's a fine long snapper. I'm just tired of active players having podcasts and shit. That really bothers me. Enough of
The
that. That
long
should be
snap
banned.
with Chris Johnson. No, I don't want it.
I don't even think it has a good name. It's just called like the Kristen Kuntz Show. Like nothing even creative.
Kristen Kuntz?
Like he should just grift off the McAfee thing and just do the Kuntz.
I ask him about it, bro. I don't know. Seems like a swell fella and everything, but yeah, I'm very anti-active players having podcasts.
Ball snaps with Chris.
I feel worse for Cowboys fans though, because after every loss, they got to listen to Micah Parsons run his dumbass mouth about something that happened. Like Micah Parsons is a great player. His football opinions are god awful. Like my God, it is bad.
We are witnessing this because we've had a lot of like former players jump into the media.
Yeah.
And
which
we
is
are
fine.
seeing in real time. They just as bad as this as we are, right? Like I saw Gilbert Arenas talking about nobody cared about the finals. I'm like, all right, man, we just saying shit now. Like, and I don't know how we watched 20 years of Inside the NBA and thought that we were only gonna get pristine, well thought out takes from former players. We've talked about Charles Barkley for 25 years, just saying shit. Like
He said random shit too.
There's certainly some
watched
good
Shaq
ones
for
though.
10 years, and we're like, you know what? We need more former players.
We found out that Shaq doesn't even watch NBA games.
Now I low key,
Chauncey Billups coached the Pistons.
I low key do not like Shaq as an analyst. I can barely understand what he's saying.
not an analyst. He's
a personality. There's
Okay, even as a personality, I cannot even understand what he's saying. Like half the time, like, what is this guy saying?
You know what he's saying? I think the big fella needs to get more rebounds. Get the free throw line a little bit more.
Stop
shooting
threes.
I gotta say that Ni-Hao meme went triple platinum on my Twitter. I use it any chance I get the
The
chance.
one
Like,
where he was like Guangdong Tigers.
yeah, it's like Guangdong Tigers. Ni-Hao. Yeah.
Look, Shaq is amazing when it's time to be entertaining. But if my team down by 6 points in the second half of the game 7 of the NBA Finals, I'm not looking for fucking Shaq to tell me what's going wrong with the team.
I do
fucking know.
I do hope that I get asked a Chase Claypool question on Twitter. That way I can use the Guangdong Tigers meme. Like, oh, where's Chase Claypool going to play next year? And then I can just use that. It'd be perfect.
Spain. He's been traded to a different sport. The man plays football.
Good for him.
With that does it here for the middle linebacker position. We have the Steelers at 1, the Ravens at 2, Browns at 3, and Bengals at 4 on the overall. Guys, we're going to be taking a little break here at the beginning of July. We'll be back. Happy 4th of July and all those good things for all of y'all. We'll be back on the end of July to do the offensive ranking positions. So make sure you sub and hit the bell so when we come back live, you hear. We appreciate all the comments after the video. We appreciate the super chats in the comments through the video, the likes. Make sure you share this content. We love every engagement. We appreciate y'all. Take it easy. Peace out.
Imagine your team's down by